was very emotional.
Yeah.
It was very, very emotional to see ourselves there, and we're just looking at each other, and I'm like, this is like, where did we even start from? When they see you winning and they're like, yes, I'm here for you, as opposed to, oh, really, how did you get there? I mean, I know the girls today are like, how do we find the one?
Yeah.
And I'm like, mere zamane mein, like in my time, we were shocked. As they say, shook. We were like, wait, what? These many people want to watch our videos, and we could see it growing. Sonam Kapoor and Alia Bhatt and Varun Dhawan and Vicky Kaushal and all these people, like getting the opportunity to kind of interact, dance with them, teach them a little bit of our choreography. Madhuri Dixit.
Okay, I know she's your idol. Tell us about that.
Some form of like body shaming that happens. Oh, you're too big, or whatever it is that people want to say. And that's the only thing. And what I realize is, you're not saying anything bad about my dance, right?
Hello and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, I'm Sheen, your host, and this is the Dream Girl podcast. You're joining us in Mumbai, India, and this episode is brought to you by the Apparel Group. My guest today is Nicole from Team Nach, a dancer, a creator, and an entrepreneur who has built one of the most inspiring dance communities of India. In this episode, we'll explore her journey of turning her art into a thriving career and what it means to inspire the next generation through movement. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
I can't tell you how grateful I am that you took the time today to be stuck in traffic and spend time with us.
But that's Mumbai, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Okay, so I have to tell you, first time I came across you was when we were being taught a dance for my friend Sangeet.
Oh, God.
And it was the Makna song.
That song and that routine has gone viral. That routine has gone viral.
I mean, one of the many.
I mean, I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
When I say I mean we at Team Nach are very grateful for that. But that's, I feel, one routine that everyone out of India knows. They know Makhna, and if that music plays, I've seen people do it at parties, at clubs. They just know Choda Ye Ghar Baar. They know the entire steps.
That's crazy. Was this the first content that went viral for you? No,
not really.
It wasn't.
The first one that went viral was Jimiki Kamal. It was a Malayalam song.
Yeah, crazy.
It was that video, and that was such a non-produced video. It was shot on a phone with no effects, nothing.
It's always those ones.
Yeah, it was such a raw content piece that was put out on YouTube at the time, and that went viral. And there were news publications talking about it. Yeah,
I know. And Nicole, we've all seen you dance online. We've all seen your work. But I'm excited today to hear a little bit more about the person behind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So tell me, you grew up in Lagos.
Yes.
I think most people don't know that about you.
Yes, I grew up in Lagos.
How was that? Because you've experienced two cultures up close. How has that shaped you?
To be honest, even though I grew up in Lagos and even though it was away from India, it was really not away from India because my upbringing was very desi. It was very, very desi. And I don't know how many NRIs can relate to this, but whether it's the school I went to, it was an Indian school, the friends I had, all Indian, the festivals we celebrated, whether it was Holi, Diwali, Navratri. All there. And I feel like we did it 10 times louder than people do it back home here in India.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the upbringing culturally was very, very Indian. But at the same time, what I did learn being there in Nigeria was just interacting with different people of different cultures. That's one thing, because we had not just an Indian school, there was an American school, there was a Lebanese school. So we would often during competitions, meet and interact with people from different countries. So that's one thing I learned, adapting, interacting with newer people.
Yeah.
At the same time, I saw my parents do everything themselves. There's a lot of independence because it was just mom, dad, my sister and I. And the two of them, my parents were under 30.
Wow.
And they had moved to a foreign country and were doing everything themselves. My mom was handling the house herself. My dad was doing everything himself. So there was a lot of independence, which I kind of, took from them as well. So I think that's what's kind of shaped me.
And how long ago did you move back to India?
It's been 20 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah, India's home now.
India's home. India's home now. It's long gone. I went back to Lagos very recently. I went last year. So almost 19 years later, I went back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went
How was
back.
it?
It felt like going back home in a way. Because I was like, oh my God, we live in the same house that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And just, walking around the streets and the area that I was in, visiting school again, that sort of, kind of like took me back to memories, listening to Pidgin English as people speak over there, all of that. Yeah, it was great memories, but now India is completely home.
Home. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you start dancing at 5?
I feel like I was born like dancing for some reason. But yes, I did start dancing at the age of 5.
Where did that love for dance come from for you?
Bollywood.
Yeah.
I would say like so much influence of Bollywood. And even like, I feel parents just encouraged me to like, beta dance. You know how they say like at parties when you have...
Show them,
show them, just dance and show.
Yeah.
So I kind of started from there. And in school, it was always about... performing at annual days or stage events or whatever there was, cultural events.
Yeah.
For me, it was always dance. There were so many things happening in school. There was debate and there was drama and all of that. But Nicole was always dancing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And how does it feel for you when you're dancing?
I feel like I'm somewhere else entirely. I'm not thinking so much. I'm not... usually as a personality, I can be an overthinker.
Yeah.
But when it comes to dance,
You switch off?
I switch off.
Oh, that's so good.
I switch off. I'm sometimes so switched off and not thinking that I might just forget the steps. But I'm so lost in that movement and just by myself that, I don't know how to maybe like explain it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's an escapism, right? We all have something that helps us switch off fully. It's beautiful that you managed to make that into your day job. But you started in proper jobs before, right? I don't know why I say proper job. Office job.
Office job. Like a proper office 9 to 5 as we call it here.
You went PR? Is that right?
I was in PR.
Yeah.
Before PR, I did quite a few things out of college. But I was doing that for about, I feel, 2 years before I started Nach full time.
Yeah.
And in fact, while I was doing PR, I was still doing Nach. We started Nach at the time. So I would finish work and then move into a studio and teach.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did that whole thing for a year more, like both, my day job as well as Nach. And after that, after a year, I felt like, okay, let me just give Nach a full try. Like give my 100% to this.
But where did the idea of Nach come from? Because obviously dancing for yourself is different, learning to dance for yourself. But then how did you decide, okay, let me actually teach others?
It was very spontaneous.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was not a big, like you say, a business plan. There was no such...
No well thought of.
Yeah. There was no big business plan.
Yeah.
It was really about, so Sonal and I, we met on the dance team in college.
Okay.
So we became friends because of dance. And after college got over, we just had an idea that, let's start teaching. Let's see what happens with it. And we just kind of went with the flow of whatever happens. We'll see. We'll, figure it out. And we started enjoying choreography and we started enjoying teaching. So even if it was 4 people in a class and 2 teachers, it really didn't matter to us because we had a great time. We had a great time, just dancing with people. So that's how Team Nach began.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to YouTube about a year later.
So what happened there? The transition?
So the transition was really, we were again, no big plans. It was only to promote our class. Like we wanted more students to come into class.
Yeah.
We no longer wanted 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We were like, at least if it's 10, we'll be happy. It was that.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, so now what do? We used to constantly post on our personal Facebook profiles about, our classes.
Yeah.
We even printed out, you have these pamphlets that go in newspapers.
Yeah.
So we did all of that. And then we thought, why not start a YouTube channel and put out our work over there. And that's how it started. We just put it out on YouTube. And I feel like in a matter of 5 to 6 months, we started seeing the engagement. We started seeing the subscribers grow. And I feel like we hit our first 100K on a video, 100K views on a video in like the first 6 months or something. We're like, wait a minute.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Are you trying to tell me that people really want to watch us just dance?
Yeah.
That's when we realized that, hey, there's a whole other platform here for us to explore.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I love that. First of all, I think it shows that you guys were very good at pivoting and adapting, right? I like that you tried Facebook, newspaper, then you went into the digital space and you decided to try that. But how was the experience of the first time the video going to 100K? How did it feel?
We were shocked. As they say, shook. We were like, wait, what? These many people want to watch our videos? And we could see it growing. And after a point, we were like, okay, so now where do we go from here? Like, what do we do? Then the sudden slight pressure of having to create something new and put it out there. And then the sudden pressure of, oh, will this reach 100K?
Now you have high expectations.
Now there's high expectations. If this can reach 100K, why not the next?
Yeah.
And the next and the next and the next. And that's how our content even changed. If you see some of the earlier videos on our channel, my God, those costumes were so bad. But
we all start somewhere.
Yeah, we all start somewhere. Yeah, we all start somewhere. But from there to, then experimenting with, okay, it used to initially be dance fitness videos.
Oh my God.
Like, a follow along sort of a video. It used to be those. Wow. And one of those videos got like 100K. And I think it came onto one of the online platforms that you have news platforms that, hey, these girls have created a choreography on this song.
Yeah.
So you can go check it out. And we were like, okay, now we've done dance fitness. Now let's explore choreography, Bollywood choreography, something simple, easy to, which people can recreate maybe for weddings, sangeets, which you've also done. So yeah, that's how it all changed and it started from there.
But at the time, let's say when you decided to quit your job and go full time on that, what gave you the confidence to do that? A quick break for a word from today's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Apparel Group, the powerhouse behind India's retail revolution. With icons like Aldo, Charlton Keith, Bath & Body Works, Victoria's Secrets, and many more, the Apparel Group brings together the world's most loved brands under one roof. They are shaping culture, elevating lifestyles, and leading the future of retail in India.
I don't know if it was confidence. It was a risk.
Okay.
It was a risk. It was because I didn't know. It was so uncertain because I don't know whether we're going to make it or not make it, right?
Yeah.
It was just about giving it a shot. And then I know I can fall back on my degree and on my professional whatever experience and maybe go back to a 9 to 5 if this doesn't work. But I want to give this 100% and just see where it goes. Because I felt like I was too scattered. I was not very happy doing the 9 to 5 because suddenly I found joy somewhere else, right? And I was like, okay, this is not giving me as much joy. So this is a problem now. So I was like, okay, let me try, doing this full time. And if it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen?
Of course.
The worst that can happen is I go back and figure it out then.
Yeah, you beautifully explained this because I think a lot of young people who want to follow their passion or the path they know they are meant for, but we always get scared and we're like, oh, but what if it doesn't work? Then what happens? You just go back.
You just go back.
It's okay.
And, I also feel that right now there's so much more opportunity and a lot of people, like because of the digital media and social media, there's so much more opportunity and people are really trying their best to become viral and something on social media. And if they don't get the views, I know they're very disheartened about it and they feel like they failed, but at least you tried. And then you can always go back. But I feel like there's a lot of stubbornness also in people that, no, I really want to make it. I really want to make it. But I feel that somewhere, yes, be stubborn towards your goals. But if it's not working out and if you need to go back to it, there's nothing wrong in it. You can always go back.
Yeah, it's just going back to the drawing board and seeing,
and
where you can try, right?
Absolutely.
And for you even, right? You never thought that YouTube would be the way that your career gets accelerated, right?
Not at all.
Never thought of it.
Not at all. Being a dance teacher and being a YouTuber is obviously like so different.
2 different things.
So different. Firstly, the opportunities that you get, especially when we became a known platform, like a known channel on YouTube as Team Nach. The opportunities that came our way, whether it was with brands or even with celebrities, like dancing with them, Sonam Kapoor and Alia Bhatt and Varun Dhawan and Vicky Kaushal and, all these people, like getting the opportunity to, kind of interact, dance with them, teach them a little bit of our choreography. Madhuri Dixit.
Okay, I know she's your idol. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, wow, where do I start with her?
You grew up watching her.
I grew up watching her.
Yeah.
I grew up watching her. And I feel like she's someone who has just so much versatility. Like she can do it all in dance, right? She did it all in dance. Like whether it was a classical, grace, Devdas thing when she was spinning, or whether it was like, the latka jatka, or even if it was like a Western dance style, she did it all. But the one thing for me that really like drew me to her was like her face.
Of course.
The way she expressed. The way she expressed. And I was like, there's so much that you can tell that of how she's feeling just from there, just from her face. And that's the one thing I think I really tried to, I took inspiration from. Yeah.
But all your comment sections say that about you.
I know.
People always like, her facial expressions.
Yeah.
So you've definitely adopted that.
I have tried my best to work on it. Like I have tried. A lot of people think it's very natural, but
it is natural.
It's natural, but at the same time, I have to like really like...
It's a focus point.
It's a focus point. Like, I really have to think about, okay, how I'm doing it. Is it going to be soft? Is it going to be sharp? Like, what I'm trying to portray. Yeah, but that also takes a little bit of work. Yeah.
Of course, nothing is easy. Wait, did you meet her then?
I did.
How was that? First time.
First time that I met Madhuri Dixit. Wow, I was very nervous because I didn't... First, words didn't come out of my mouth. It was like, hello, ma'am. And it was that. It stopped after that.
Yeah. Was this like a professional capacity that
it was in a professional? It was in a professional capacity. Yes.
Well, how did you feel when that opportunity came?
I was like, okay, when do we do this? Let's go. Like today, tomorrow. When is it? In the night? In the morning? What time? We'll be there. Yeah. Like just tell us when we're coming.
Yeah.
So we got only 15 minutes with her.
That's okay.
And we prepared a choreography piece, which she saw one of our assistants. So she was just standing and we performed. And we had an assistant in the center that was going to be her position.
Sure.
And the assistant showed her the steps once. And she just stood there. She absorbed. And she's like, okay, I'm ready to shoot. She's not seen this choreography before. She has not seen it before.
No rehearsal.
And this is created by us. No rehearsal, nothing. She just stood there. And she saw it. And she's like, okay, I'm ready to go. And we were like, wait, what? Do I remember the choreography?
You're like, I forgot.
I forgot my choreography, guys. But she's something else.
And she smashed it.
Like she smashed it. And it was, I feel like it was one of the most unreal experiences that I've had because I learned that from her. Like, she's so focused when it came to her profession and what she has to do. That's one thing I just took from there. I was like, wow, the woman has a lot of focus.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's amazing. But isn't it beautiful how life comes full circle? This is someone you were looking up to. It's an art form that you love.
Yeah.
And you putting yourself out there brought you back to meeting this person in a professional capacity.
It feels very unreal.
Right.
It feels very unreal. It almost feels like a dream because even today, like when I go back and if I look at all the love that, Team Nach receives online and, watching this full movement of women that love dancing and they share their dance videos and all of that. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I did that. I can't believe it. Like, I still can't believe that, oh my God, all of this has happened in the last 10 going to be 12 years now.
Wow.
Of Team Nach. Yeah. in the last 12 years.
I mean, you've nurtured that community for 12 years. So obviously they're there to love you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. But tell me, what has been the most memorable stage for you that you've performed on?
I would like to say the YouTube Fan Fest.
Yeah?
That's like
in India.
In India.
Yeah.
In India. That's been our biggest show and our biggest event. And because it's YouTube, so it's very, very personal, because that's where, we were YouTube babies. That's where we grew up. And, so it was always for YouTube, and then performing for the fans. And also we treated it as our personal Filmfare, IFA, whatever you call it, because we pulled out all the stops. We were like costume, choreography, prop, all of it, that entire experience. So every year when we perform, if there's any one big performance that we do, it's the YouTube Fan Fest.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yes.
And you and Sonal do that together, right? And okay, so tell me, how does it work having a co-founder?
When your co-founder is your friend for many years, it's very easy. It helps because you already know each other, and we're very different personalities, and we knew that before we got into this.
Okay.
So even if there was like, hey, I'm unable to do this.
Yeah.
So let me just give you a brief.
Please.
Right? I'm more of a planner. Okay, so where is this going?
You're
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Where is going? What are we doing? What's the plan? And she's very free flowing in terms of, we'll figure it out. Like, don't worry, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that balance just helped us. It helped me because to some extent, it kind of like, we kind of overlapped. I became a little more easy and relaxed. Yeah. And then she also got into the whole, okay, so tomorrow what's happening? What's the plan? That sort of a thing. So we balanced each other out in that sense. And I think we've also taken very different roles and responsibilities within the company.
Okay.
And it started that way. Like, she has a lot more interest in camera and production. I have a lot more interest in when it comes to, dealing with the people and choreography. I mean, of course, we both do choreography differently. But like when it comes to set design or it comes to different aspects of creating content, I feel like we took charge of different things and then brought it together.
I love that. I think, honestly, the best way is everyone has their territory.
Yeah.
You don't waste time where everyone needs to have an opinion on everything.
Correct.
But I think people probably don't realize how much work goes behind all the dancing that happens. We all see this very lovely video that's been edited beautifully.
That's so true.
But there's so much that goes behind that, isn't it?
Yeah. As you rightly said, everyone looks at the video and they're like, wow, what a great job. Go look pretty, wear a nice outfit and go dance. There's so much that happens behind that. Because firstly, Teamnach is, it's not just an Instagram page, it's a company. It's a company with employees getting salary.
Yeah.
So there's all of that back end that's happening. And at the same time, when you're shooting a video, it's not just me performing. There's someone doing lights, there's someone doing makeup, there's someone handling and stitching costume. It's like being on a film set.
It's a full production.
It's a full production. Now it's like a full production. And every minute detail, and whether you're injured, whether you're having a bad day, but then you've booked the slot and you've booked, the studio, and you have to show up and you have to shoot.
Yeah.
So a lot of that gets missed.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's fine. It's okay.
We keep the magic for them, right?
We keep the magic for them. And that's fine. You can believe. So whenever, because I teach all the choreographies that I put out on social media, a lot of them come into class and they're like, oh yeah, wow, we're so excited to learn this. And my question to them is always, did it look easy? Are you guys ready for it? They're like, yes, ma'am, we're ready. And when they get down to learning, they're like, oh, it's not that easy. Yes, we make it look easy because of a lot of practice that goes into it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's not that easy. It takes a lot of training has gone into, performing that. And while, they do watch it and they're like, oh yes, I will be able to. They are able to. But at the same time, that's when they realize that, oh, it's not that easy.
Yeah, you need the practice.
You need the practice.
Yeah. But, you've turned your passion and your art form and you turned it into a business.
Yeah.
Does it still remain fun?
On some days it doesn't. On some days it's still fun. Now it's like, because it's a business, and now I know that on some days I'm creating for myself, and on some days I'm creating because it's a job and I have to,
you have to make money.
I have to make money. So on some days maybe it doesn't. And I've never said this before. Yeah, but it is.
It's
it is
true,
it is true. I can't like put up a face and be like, oh, I love it and everything is great. No, it's not. Yeah, no,
that's the reality.
It is the reality of it.
And now that you've become, this entrepreneur, we have to say you're running a business, as you said, with people being employed.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest learning for you?
Hiring the correct team makes it changes the game. It changes the game. You hire the right people to work with you, people who are fully dedicated and hardworking and talented, of course. And yeah, I think that's the only way we were able to scale.
Hiring.
Yeah, hiring the right people.
How do you assess? Give us advice on hiring.
Very vibe based. It's very vibe based. So whenever we've hired anyone, it's been like, okay, cool, come on over, come into class and dance with us. And then it's really been about, seeing whether the person, how attentive they are to, details, and what's their vibe like. You kind of understand that whether the person is here to really be a part of a company and a team, or they're here for themselves. Whether, hey, that's Team Nach, I want to go on to Team Nach and I want to feature in their videos.
I want to be on YouTube.
I want to be on YouTube and I want to become famous. You kind of just understand that, okay, that's your vibe. And that's not what I'm looking for. Yes, that will become a part of maybe
course.
your journey on Team Nach, but it's probably going to be only if you really, really are someone who wants to be part of a team and really dedicate yourself towards the work that we do. And you should be able to do everything. Like, you got to be a multitasker. Like, I don't think initially, like in companies, sometimes people hire just based on one specific skill to do one specific job. When you're in like a startup or you're in this sort of a setting, you have to do everything. You should be able to do choreography, but also customer service, but also maybe a little bit of editing. So our entire team that's there, it's a full team of women. Everyone does everything. Like, they have like not just one job role, but maybe like 2, 3, and they do their best at it.
Yeah. I love what you said. It's like wearing the multiple hats. I think especially now, I feel like people don't understand this. They think, oh no, but I'm hired for this role, so I should not be doing this. I should not be doing that. But that's how you build and you grow together.
Absolutely.
And even us, right? I'm sure you do everything in the business. At least once you've done everything in the business. And now you know how it works.
Yeah. I made some very bad edits back in the day. I was not very talented in that. I realized much later when I saw it. But yeah, we did everything.
Yeah.
And we still do everything. We still do costume design. We still run into the market and get fabric and maybe like sit on top of the tailor's head and be like, bhaiya, ye karna hai. Like, make it like this. So till today, like, even though we have a team, we decide and, we're a part of
You're involved in
every part of the process. Yes.
And what's been the biggest thing you've learned about yourself now that you're running a company?
I'm very patient. Yeah. That's the one thing that I've learned, that I'm very, very patient and calm in chaotic situations.
Really?
Yeah.
So when things go wrong, you don't panic?
No.
Ooh,
I'm like, okay, wait.
From?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Teach me.
I have no idea. I mean, I've realized that I'm very patient. Like, I can, okay, it's always like a mentality of, okay, we'll figure it out. Maybe it's come from, being with Sonal for so long that, don't worry, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, it'll happen. I don't know, maybe it's come from there or what, but yeah, that's the one thing I've realized.
But that's the best attitude.
It is.
Right.
Because I'm only going to make it worse.
Your experience is worse of it.
Yeah, my experience will be worse. Yeah. But not to say that I've not had like a meltdown.
Yeah.
Not to say that
that's
we've
allowed.
not. Yeah, that happens. But otherwise, I feel like the one thing I've learned is I'm very, very patient. Whether it's with running the business, dealing with people, whether it's classes, dealing with students, however it is. And that goes a long way.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
That's a very good skill to have, honestly. And I think I always try to remind myself that in any situation, just take a minute. If you're about to react in a negative way, just okay.
Breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah.
My sister says, inhala, exhala. She's like, just breathe in and out, girl. You got this.
Yeah. And immediately you calm down. You calm down. But, being online is beautiful, as we've just explored, but it also has this little negative parts to it, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any, I don't want to say challenge, but, have you experienced any kind of like online hate? Yeah.
Oh.
We all have.
Okay, but the negative comments, the online hate. So from all the comments that come in, right? 98% of it is pure love.
Agreed.
It's pure love. That 2% is going to be hate about mostly one thing, and that's just about how I look on screen, and that might be some form of like body shaming that happens, or you're too big, or whatever it is that people want to say. And that's the only thing. And what I realize is, you're not saying anything bad about my dance, right? So
the dance is fine.
Yeah, the dance is fine. But yeah, that wasn't the case initially. Initially, it was very hurtful because it was like the first time, the first time you see someone saying something about the way you look.
Someone who doesn't know you.
Someone who doesn't know me saying something. And when you've been seeing such nice things, and then suddenly you're like, oh, wait. Oh, all right. And then you kind of like, is that the case? Should I do something about it? But then I started realizing that, okay, this is impacting me in a very negative way. And it's affecting my dance maybe in some way. And I was like, okay, that person is a nobody at the end of it. They're just behind that screen. It's about them. It's not about me. So I've learned now to like ignore and just let it go. The best feature now on all social media is delete and block. And I stand by delete and block.
Same. And there's restrict as well.
There's restrict. I love it.
I'm like, okay.
I love these features. I just go for it. I just go for it, and I, block them out. And it could be anyone. I feel like it's a little more hurtful when it's a woman saying it to me.
I know. For men, we're used to it. You're
and
like,
I'm
okay,
like,
sure.
okay, whatever. But when it's a woman saying it to me, I'm like, girl, I'm doing this for you. Like, what's your problem? But then again, it's like, okay, go delete.
Okay, block. Yeah. And I remember one of my creative friends was telling me, don't you think it's a bit not right to delete it? And I was like, will you let someone come in your house and throw trash around? You wouldn't. So why do they get to come on my page and throw trash around?
Exactly. And it's my page. So I get to choose what happens there.
Absolutely. Yeah. But this is, especially in today's world where we are constantly being bombarded with the standards of beauty on social media, and women are constantly comparing themselves. We already have insecurities over insecurities. And then now it's actually discouraging a lot of young creators from posting. Yeah.
I feel like right now there's so much now there's so much body positivity out there. There are a lot of people who are, like out there really doing, spreading the word about being comfortable in your own.
Different.
Like we're all different. But if people are not posting because there's they're scared of what others are going to say, I mean, you're letting them win. You're letting them win. Like, you have so much talent and you're not putting it out there just because of what someone might say. You're not even sure what's going to come your way. It might come your way. Not to say no, it's not. It might just, but why not? Just go for it. Just go for it. That's the only way to like learn. Yes, okay, someone will say something. There's always a feature to block them.
Yeah. And it's so sad because I feel like you can get 1,000 good comments and one bad comment, but that's the one that you decide to keep.
It stays. It stays with you. It stays with you, but it'll stay only if you let it. Exactly. Only if you let it. Like if you ignore it, and it shouldn't really matter because every time I post a video, I'm now never looking at my body. I'm looking at the entire vibe of the video.
The production.
The vibe. It's an overall vibe. Does it make me happy? Because that's all I want to do. Like, I want to like put out content that makes another person like, smile. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That. So I feel like everyone out there should just really be a little more confident about the work that they are going to put out as opposed to what someone else is going to say about it. And the log to bolenge.
Exactly. Yeah. Doesn't matter. But do you feel like dance has also given you this form of like confidence now in yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It has. Not to say I was not really underconfident, but dance has given me that confidence because now I know that, okay, I'm someone in my field that can, go out there and be like, hey guys, okay, I'm Nicole Concessio from Team Nach, and that carries some value. So, yeah, surely it has. It has.
Absolutely. And do you have any advice for YouTubers specifically? Because you're one of the veteran YouTubers. We've seen you grow, Team Nach grow on YouTube, and people are still growing. Do you think it's saturated now, or do you think there's still space for everybody?
I think there's space for everybody.
Always, right?
I think there's always space for everybody. I feel like it's a place where you can go and, share whatever it is without thinking about the outcome. Okay, you can like just share whatever sort of content, whichever field, whatever category, you can share it out there. But for the YouTubers now, the one thing I tell everybody and the one thing that has worked for us is being absolutely consistent. I don't mean it in a way that you have to post every day.
Yeah.
I just mean it in a way that if you've chosen one day a week, like once a week, then go once a week. If it's twice a week, twice a week. But just be consistent because it's something that you've got to do on a regular basis. Like whether it's, I'm going to speak for dance. Like if you're creating choreography, then yes, think of different ideas. Think of, listen to more music, watch more videos, try to understand different dance styles, learn more. I feel like the more you want to create, there's a lot of back end that goes with it. Like, for example, tomorrow, if I want to do a video that's an Afro style video, there's a lot of prep that's going to happen behind. And that's me learning something new. That's me learning something. So I'm growing that way in that sense as well. So that consistency factor is like a 100%.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we always hear, right? It's like, be consistent. The algorithm needs you to
I feel like
consistent.
People might just be tired of, hearing this. But unfortunately, it's the one thing that is going to work.
Yeah.
It is the one thing that works. And yes, there are people that might say that, hey, I'm posting videos. But okay, but what sort of videos are you posting? Is it something that's that people are engaging with? If they're not engaging, maybe you need to like change something. Maybe you need to learn something, learn a new maybe a new way of putting out your content. Yeah. So maybe that.
Absolutely. And again, I'm going to go back to the whole journey that you've had, right? You wanted to teach dance and then you went on YouTube and it became so much bigger than you ever thought. And now we're here. And I would say that you probably exceed expectations on a daily basis. But
I don't know about that.
Yes, you do.
I don't know about that.
And looking forward ahead, how do you see Team Nach carrying on with exceeding expectations?
That's a very, like I said, there's never like a very big plan. But the one thing that we wanted to do, which we just did, was we've been traveling across and teaching.
Can I just say, when I saw you guys taking that pictures in Times Square, I was like, oh my God, that was so beautiful. How did it feel?
That was very emotional.
Yeah.
It was very, very emotional to see ourselves there. And we're just looking at each other and I'm like, this is like, where did we even start from? Like we started from, choreographing in Sonal's house. We didn't have a mirror. Usually dancers have a big mirror.
A huge wall,
right? Huge wall. Yeah. We didn't have a mirror and we would use the reflection on the television as our mirror. And I was like, girl, we started from there.
And now you're in New York.
New York, Times Square. Like I'm still like, it's very emotional at this point. Yeah. Sorry, I missed your full. I missed the
Sorry, me
question.
too. I just
don't know what we were
completely
talking
digressed
about.
it. We were talking about exceeding expectations. What can we expect from Team Natch now?
Oh, wow. I think there's definitely going to be a lot more travel and teaching in terms of content. Now there's varied content, but yeah, the one thing that we are trying to bring back is a lot of like tutorials and stuff like that, where people can really like learn, because we anyway do classes and we have students in class, so that's the one thing that we're working on. And yeah, that's
wow. You have to come to Dubai though. Bring some classes to us.
We have come.
Yeah,
we've come like once or twice, but we have to be there.
Come
more
again.
Regularly.
Honestly, I think we have huge crowds for you.
Yeah. we just finished USA and UK and London, and now maybe in the months to come it could be another country, but I don't want to say anything because I really don't know what's going to happen.
Of course.
But I would love to travel the world and teach. Yes.
I mean, you are doing it already, so just keep doing it.
Thank you.
And I guess one more question I have for you is, now that you are in the public eye, everyone knows you. Team Natch is so well known. It's a name we all recognize. How do you find your tribe of people? How do you know who is a friend, who has your best interests at heart? How did you find your sisterhood?
Wow. And I have some of the best girls, really, honestly. I'm going to say, of course, there's school, like, the people that you grow up with.
The long-term ones.
The long-term ones, there's that. And then there are just some people that just come into your life and they just sort of change it for the better. The women that really uplift you. Like when they see you winning and they're like, yes, I'm here for you, as opposed to, oh, really, how did you get there? Like never questioning how I got there. Always like just being present, whether it's a good day or a bad day. The funny thing is, like, all my friends that are very, very close to me are all women. And it's not a big group of women. I have like two very small groups of women. Sonal is part of one of them.
Yeah.
And then I have like my friends from school and stuff. But I think it's a very big trust factor that I'm able to trust you, and I'm able to trust that any room that she walks into, she's going to be saying good things about me. Like she's not going to be saying anything bad. And she's going to be like a cheerleader and be there for me as I am for her.
Yeah.
So that.
I remember one time I read this thing somewhere that said that if your friend comes and tells you that, oh, this person said this and this and I heard it, your question should be, why were you in that room?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Why were you in that room and what did you say?
What did you say about it?
What did you say about it? Yeah. I would expect my friend to be like, excuse me, what? And like, what did you say about her?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You put an end to it.
Yeah, put an end to it.
Okay. Final thing, obviously, we can't not talk about it. We are women at the end of the day. But
wow. Feels like it's going to get heavy.
No. Don't worry. Chill. How's the dating life?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah?
It's very good. So I have been with my partner for a very long time.
Okay.
Way before Team Natch began.
No, so you met when you were very young?
Not very young.
But younger.
We met when we were working. We were like early 20s. So not like school or anything.
Okay.
But in the early 20s. And we've been together a very long time. So he's been a part of my journey from way before Team Natch began, way before I even started that PR job. That, because like I said, I did multiple jobs. Yeah. So he's really been an anchor and support. He's actually been quite the driving force, because before Team Natch began, as a person, he was like, you can do a lot more with your life. You should try and do something else. So there was a lot of like motivation and push that I got from there.
Oh, I love that. That's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
But how did you know that he was the one? Tell us how to do that assessment.
Oh, wow. How do you know someone is the one? Is by spending time with them, I think. The way we think also is very different. Okay, the way we think is very different. I get to learn a lot from him. and he gets to learn a lot more. It's like, a give and take sort of thing. I don't know how to say, how to know that somebody is the
How
one.
Did you know?
It was only because of the time we spent together. It was like spending time, the comfort that you build, and also knowing that, okay, this person is here to really support me and encourage me through whatever I'm going through, whether it's quitting my job and starting off a new, business,
Venture,
a new venture out of nowhere. Just like kind of being there and giving like some good, solid advice. And I think that's what really kind of made me feel like, okay, he's my person. Because I feel also friendship is a very important part of this relationship. Love aside, friendship, I think, is what we've based our relationship on. We're like the best of friends. So I know that I can fall back on him today. So
well, that's beautiful.
I think that's where it is. I mean, I know the girls today are like, how do we find the one? And I'm like, mere zamane mein, like in my time.
You did it the traditional way of meeting him when you were younger, working.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
But wow, such a difficult question. I've never thought of it,
Well, clearly, but everyone says it's so easy when it's the right one. So you don't actually do the thinking that all of us are doing.
The thinking never happens that, like, okay, like, is there like a formula of, to figure out like how this person is going to be the one? Yeah, but.
Okay, well, final question for you, Nicole. What is the one thing that you would want to be remembered for? What's the legacy you hope to leave behind?
Spreading a lot of joy and happiness. That's one thing that I really, really want to like leave back. Like someone goes back, or if my name comes up anywhere, it'll be like, oh my God, she's a happy person who's shared joy and kindness. That's the one thing. That's the one feeling I want to leave behind. And at the same time, like I feel like I know that somewhere I have like encouraged a lot of women to, go out there and pursue dance again, especially women who've not been dancing for maybe years to come for whatever reason. Family didn't allow, job didn't allow, anything like that. If I've inspired them to kind of go out there and pursue a little bit of their passion, I'm going to be very happy.
Well, that's beautiful. Yeah. And I just want to add that the moment you walked in, after spending so long in traffic, I was a bit worried. I was like, oh no, I hope she's in a good mood. But you came in like a ray of sunshine. So that you do already. Don't you worry about that. And you've made all of us dance. You've made me dance. So, it's all happened already.
Yeah.
But Nicole, we can't wait to keep seeing all the big things that you're doing. Thank you for inspiring all of us to move.
Thank you for having me here. It was so nice chatting.
It was. And we have a surprise for you. Very quick one.
Oh, so cute! I love this. This is my first ever podcast.
No way!
I mean, I've done a lot of interviews.
You have?
I have done interviews.
Yeah.
But like, a podcast is like the first time that I'm.
But you're such a natural.
It's a little scary sometimes. But thank you so much. It's very cute.
Of course. Thank you so much.